August 16th, 1974. It's after 11 p.m., and 17-year-old Leslie Zaret, a recent graduate of John Browne High School, is leaving her best friend Laura Gold's house, located at 14818 58th Avenue in Flushing, Queens, New York. She first makes a stop at Pioneer Pub, located at 5920 Main Street, where she looks for a boyfriend. He's not there, so she turns around and heads for her home at 13854 68th Drive, located in the Kew Gardens Hills section of Queens. She would never make it home. And by 5 a.m., her father David Zaret was contacting authorities to report of his daughter's disappearance. Later that morning, the PS-203 Schoolyard in Bayside, Queens, just a few miles from Leslie's last whereabouts, a custodian of the school arrives for his morning route and enters the schoolyard. He finds the body of 17-year-old Leslie Zaret laying in the schoolyard naked, bruised, with her clothes and platform shoes neatly placed at her side. She had been strangled, sexually assaulted, and a hairbrush had been inserted inside of her. Well, there are many scenarios as to what happened that night, and even a potential suspect who remains unnamed. It still remains one of the biggest cold cases in New York City history. In this video, I'll join Manny Grossman of True Crime Files, the son of Sam Colt, and a local by the name of Chris, who's taken a deep interest in this case. We'll take a walk to the schoolyard where Leslie Zaret was found on the morning of August 17th, 1974, and discuss the case, as well as possible scenarios and some interesting facts which have come out over the past 47 years. If you have any information about this case, please contact 1-800-577-TIPS or visit crimestoppers.nypdonline.org. All tips are confidential.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
How you doing, everyone? Hey, yo, Crime Spot. What we got going on today?
We're going to be looking into the case of Leslie Zaret, who, well, she was found at PS-203 here in Queens on Springfield Boulevard on the morning of August 17th, 1974.
Right, and we are out here with also a special guest, Chris.
Hey.
Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I
Chris,
appreciate it.
No problem. Chris, of course, is a viewer of the show who reached out with some, some cool information. He became obsessed with the Zaret case after we had mentioned it on our last walk and talk. And of course, he also lives in the area, so he's going to be our tour guide and color commentary today. So we are out here with this case with Crime Spot and with Chris because this is the ultimate crossover video. Not only do we have the cold case aspect with Cold Case Crime Spot, because this is a case that's never really been solved ever. A lot of theories, and of course, one of the theories that we're going to talk about today is the potential tie-in to the Son of Sam case, which is why I'm here. So another one of these great hybrid videos, and we're so happy to have Chris with us today to show us around because he knows this area better than we do. So who better to come out with than Chris to show us the real behind the scenes stuff. So guys, why don't we just thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And let's just get started.
Okay.
So, cold case. That's your new nickname.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so cold case.
It's a cold day.
Talk to us a little bit more about the Zaret case, and of course, Chris, anytime you want to interject, please do.
Will do.
Sure. So, a little after 11 p.m. on August 16th, 1974, 17-year-old Leslie Zaret, she's leaving her friend Laura Gold's house, which I believe is on 58th Avenue in Flushing.
Right, and that's actually quite a ways away, no?
It's 4 miles away.
A few miles. I mean, you get on the LIE right behind us, you'd be there in a few minutes.
Quick.
Okay.
So she's leaving there. Now, she stops at a bar after leaving where apparently her boyfriend was working.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to go to that bar, you gotta head north over the LIE. So she goes there, and from what we're told, her boyfriend is not there, whoever this gentleman was, whoever that she knew. I don't know if it was her boyfriend or a boy that's a friend. Because she's 17, and, you know, whoever's working there would have to be older than her. So I don't know what that relationship was. So apparently he's not there. So she has to turn around, goes back to head to her home, which is on 65th Drive, I believe.
I think it was 68th Drive. It's
68th
26
Drive.
blocks from Laura Gold's house.
Okay, in the area which is called Kew Gardens Hills.
Now, I just want to point out to the audience that we're actually nowhere in that vicinity. We're in the vicinity where her body was found.
Correct.
A few miles away.
Correct. So she never makes it. And originally in the newspaper reports, it was reporting that she had called home to tell her father that she was coming home. However, by around after 5 a.m. the next day, the father calls the cops and he says, my daughter never came home. And it comes out later that he says he, in fact, never got a call from his daughter at all. So where that came from, I'm not sure. Maybe, Chris, you know about that? I don't know.
To be honest, I wasn't even aware that she allegedly called home.
Yeah.
There always seems to be a lot of false reporting in these cases.
Yeah.
Lines get crossed.
Yeah, so it turns out she never called home at all. And by around 6 a.m. on the 17th, father says, my daughter's missing. So then at PS 203, which is right here.
3 hours later.
Yeah, in the morning.
Now, what morning was this?
This was Saturday morning.
So I guess the custodian finds her.
Mm-hmm.
He finds her naked. Her clothes are neatly placed near her.
Yep.
She has her platform shoes there.
Yep. Perfectly paired together.
Yeah. And
Right,
this is,
so a stage scene.
Yep.
yeah. And this is kind of graphic, but so I guess her legs are open and you see the end of a hairbrush sticking into her.
And the audience can fill in the blanks there. Now, of course, that's shades of who? Arliss Perry.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yep. And so I guess there's a guy walking by at the same time. I guess he's walking his
walking
dog.
his dog, yeah.
The custodian says, do me a favor, stay here, please. I'm going to get the cops.
Yeah, watch the corpse while I call the cops.
Watch the corpse. That guy didn't know what he was getting into.
It's also it's a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Too, if you think about it.
Yeah, as if somebody was going to come
The
in.
custodian's name, he was called Saul Remph, I think.
Yeah, Remph, I believe. Yeah.
So, I mean, I tried looking up some information about him, whether or not he was ever questioned, and nothing came up.
Yeah.
He was the custodian, obviously. That yard was locked, sort of like Fort Knox. So the only way to get into the back of that yard was through this wooded path that we're hopefully going to get into now.
Right, now, just for the audience's sake, of course, we're going to talk in a little while. We're going to go to the crime scene first, and or maybe not the crime scene, but where she was actually found, because who knows what happened that night. It's still a cold case.
Yep.
But the audience may remember this park when me and Crime Spot came here and we talked about the Eliphas Disco. Now, the Eliphas Disco is only 2 or 3 blocks away from here. So when we talk about the, we'll just talk about it now in terms of, relations to Son of Sam, that's kind of coincidental that it's in the same exact area that a major Son of Sam shooting was.
I just want to, go ahead, Manny, I'm sorry. I just want to mention something about the custodian, because I know there's people that think he should have been a suspect, all this other stuff. Full disclosure, I used to do that job. I was a union, I was a union worker in New York City, school cleaner. And just so everyone knows, the guy is just not there because he feels like being there. Every day of the year in a public school, a custodian has to be there in the morning.
That's what I was going to ask.
Saturday, Sunday, every single day, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., a guy has to be there to
doing his
open the
rounds.
school.
Right,
yeah.
right. Because I was going to ask.
Easy.
Stop right here for a second, guys.
Yeah.
Because Chris, you had pointed out something about this staircase when you originally
It's
got
actually the other staircase.
the other staircase. Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clear
This is
that
a
up
newer
in case,
staircase.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that actually, Crime Spot. I was going to be like, was it normal for a custodian to be there on Saturday morning?
100%.
Yeah, just maintenance, I guess,
100%.
right? Make sure everything
You
is
got
up
to
to
go in
snuff.
there, do the boilers. You got to clean the schoolyard, whatever it may be. Thethe's always somebody there every day.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep.
So now, I don't know whether we have any real insight into who Leslie Zaret was. Excuse me, she was what, 17 years old?
Yeah.
From the pictures that I'm seeing of her, I don't know, maybe she looks like a party girl. I don't know, I couldn't tell really, but from the pictures you see of her, she looks like, kind of a free-spirited party girl.
Yeah.
Not that that, necessarily means anything.
Yeah.
But, she was out late, drinking. So what are the are there any prevailing theories on this case? In terms of what the cops thought, was she picked up on the street and brought here? Was she what's the deal with that?
Well, that brings us to the whole, Valencia kind of resurrecting the case.
Yeah.
Now, who's Valencia?
He's a detective for the 111th precinct right over here, right near the Elefas Disco.
Oh, where they got the
This is the
warning.
staircase. Yes.
So should we talk about the staircase first before we get into the Valencia issue?
We could.
Yeah, since we're here. So what's the deal here?
I mean, this staircase, conceivably, if the perpetrators in the Zaret case didn't enter through the Springfield Avenue side, which is the, west end of the lake.
Now the Springfield Avenue side of what?
Springfield Boulevard, rather.
The schoolyard?
The schoolyard is right off of Springfield Boulevard, and that's right over here.
Right over here.
Yeah, in the other video, you guys exited over here. You walked to Elefas.
Okay, yeah.
So they would have come down these stairs. I mean, these stairs have been refurbished. When I was a kid, they were in severe disarray.
Yeah.
And they would have walked, essentially, along this path, following a stream, into the back of the schoolyard of PS 203.
Now we're gonna go.
We're gonna try to go through.
Right. Now, of course, that raises some interesting questions, like, was she coming on her own volition, or were people?
Right.
Or was one man carrying her?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Could you carry a body this far?
Well, that's where I sort of question. It's just, if it's an alleged party spot for roughnecks and loudmouths, like the Times article said in '74.
Right.
It's a Friday night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How could there not be anybody here at the park? I mean, it's the '70s. Smoking a little grass, taking mescaline.
Shades of Untermeyer in this place.
Right. Even when I was a kid, I mean, there were the transient types that would kind of inhabit the brush back here and live in shanties and tents, and there was homeless people, gang activity. So it was always a little bit weird back here, especially at night. But then again, this is the early '90s, mid '90s, late '80s. So definitely there's a sinister side to this place. People have drowned here either accidentally or by suicide.
Recently, 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, poor kid drowned here.
Yeah, we actually walked by the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the post posted a pic.
Weird thing about that, I mean, this is off topic, but the weird thing about that, the kid went missing and he floated up a week later.
Yeah.
So the idea that he was down there for a week and I was here while he was there. So when I found that out, I got so freaked out. I was like, wow.
People...
And I don't know how he stayed under that long, over a week.
There was belief that this was actually... I mean, this is a ravine, technically, obviously. Its main tributary is the Long Island Sound, East River, Little Neck Bay.
Yeah.
That's where Little Neck clams got their name from.
Yeah.
Little side fact.
Yes, sir.
They thought that there was an underground river in this lake, and that it was actually 600 feet deep.
Wow.
So in 1969, they hired a team of divers to actually confirm the depth. It's only 20 feet.
20 feet. Yeah.
So they're like, nah, bro, it's only 20 feet deep.
Yeah.
So where's it? Is this the
So
trail?
this would be the start of the trail.
So they would have had to come in either from all the way over there.
All the way over there, back here, or off of Springfield Boulevard, where there are multiple holes in the fence. So that remains undetermined, but regardless, the wooded area that we're about to head into now is where she had to have been assaulted and then ultimately killed.
Yeah.
Which means that she possibly came here on her own volition and was not carried in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know. I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, the way she was found, in the schoolyard, why would somebody actually do that out in the open?
Yeah.
It's almost like she was probably, like I said, assaulted here and staged, and the killer's like, look what I did. Obviously with the formulaic or, pattern of folding the clothes and placing the shoes and the comb and all that other stuff.
Now, again, I just want to reiterate for the audience's sake that the actual entrance to the schoolyard in those years was essentially closed off, like you say, like Fort. It was described as Fort Knox by the local people.
Yeah, multiple, watch out, there's thorn bushes.
Yeah.
Multiple articles said that, the only way for the perpetrator to have entered that schoolyard was through the actual woods that we're walking through.
The actual woods, right, which is why we're doing it, which is why we're here now. Now, cold case, this is another one of these things. There's like very little information. No videos on it online. We're doing the first one.
Yeah, something that bothers me is, I would like to know how close she was with this supposed boyfriend that she was meeting at the bar. If it is her boyfriend,
Careful, guys.
What would make her get into the car with a strange guy?
Right.
Did she know this guy?
Exactly.
Did she meet this guy at that bar?
Yes.
No, the guy was 20,
20 or 21.
Well, we don't get into that yet, but there was a suspect. Now, so what was the circumstances behind that meeting? My assumption is that she is seen at that bar. That she is somehow seen at this bar. Maybe somebody that was in the bar, maybe somebody that was leaving the bar at the same time. That's just my original assumption.
And
that
that's
it makes
also
sense to me.
That also relates to, the first suspect that they had in custody.
Yeah.
Who assaulted somebody 2 weeks before the Zaret case.
The first suspect?
I don't even think we have her name.
Well, first they went to the boyfriend, of course, and they were asking him if he knew anything, and they kind of ruled him out.
He's got to go back down that way. See, it's totally overgrown now.
Right.
Yeah.
And they ruled him out.
They ruled him out.
They thought that case was more of like a date rape thing because they met at a club in Manhattan, the 82nd Club.
Club 82, yeah.
82 Club, which I never heard of.
Well, that was, just for reference, that was opened in the 50s, and
oh snap!
It was opened by Anna Genovese, which was the wife of Vito Genovese.
There you go.
So she was running that club into the 70s. At that time, I don't know what was going on, but originally that was a mafia-owned club.
So Club 82 was where she was partying that night?
This was not Zaret. This was another.
This was the 2 weeks before Zaret.
2 weeks before Zaret.
And the cops, they thought that was more of like a date rape thing because...
Well, first of all, tell the audience like what we're talking about because I'm losing the time in here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really muddy.
Does this tie into the Valencia?
Yes.
Careful, super duper muddy.
Yeah, it does.
All right, so let's just establish a few things. Zaret is found in the schoolyard of PS 203, which is right up, I guess.
Which is right, if we could ever get there.
We're going to get there eventually.
Just trying to see where it's not muddy.
Right. Right over here, this thing.
Oh wow, I'm sinking back here
Found
too.
in a ritualistic pose with a hairbrush inserted inside of her. But did they do any tests to see whether she was raped or otherwise sexually assaulted?
We're talking about
Zaret. Or was it just the hairbrush?
I think it was just the hairbrush. They did not get any DNA.
They did not get any DNA.
They did not.
It wasn't like it is now, where they're collecting all this DNA and stuff.
Right. So they didn't get any DNA at the actual scene.
Right.
And of course, no one even knew what DNA was back then, so it's understandable.
Let's see, we have to...
We're
in the thick of it.
We're in the thick of it right here.
And there's mad thorn bushes.
Reeds and the marshes. See what we do for you out here?
Wow.
So we'll get back into the story once we actually get on the path over here. I'm watching you while you're checking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to watch out for the thorns.
Yeah.
They're still here. I see where we can go this way and around.
Okay, so up this way?
Yep. And we should be pretty close. But the thing about that first case is, like I said, they thought it was like more of a date rape vibe because, like Ramspot said, they met at 82 Club. which I had no idea was affiliated with the Genovese crime family. And he convinced her to give her a ride home.
So 2 weeks before Zaret was found,
Back to Queens.
there was a case of a woman who had met a man at a Club 82.
Okay.
And then what happened to her?
They went to a diner, which is now defunct, on 164th Street and Union Turnpike, called the Hilltop Diner. Excuse me. They had like a bite to eat, started talking a little bit. Long story short, he convinced her to, go score some weed. So he took her to a nearby park. That was ultimately Cunningham Park, which is 3 miles from here. So that was obviously just a ploy. So as soon as they got into the desolate park, he immediately threw her down, ripped off her clothes, and attempted to rape her initially. But he couldn't get an erection. TMI. So what he did was he turned her upside down, took her comb, and inserted it into her anus.
Oh my! So very, very reminiscent of what happened in Zaret.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
With something inserted into the nether region.
Right.
But at the time, this wasn't known.
So this wasn't known. So what's the story? How'd they find all this out?
Yeah. So, in the early 2000s, police, she was a chief. I'm not sure if she was chief at the time, but at the time she retired, she was in fact a chief. And she grew up in this area, and she has a dream that this girl is calling out to her. And she even has visions of a comb, and she's getting these visions of this girl calling out to her. She wakes up and she realizes, well, this isn't a dream, this is a memory being unearthed from my childhood. And it turns out that she's remembering the Leslie Zaret case, because she lived right where we are now. She lived in this area.
So this police officer is having a dream.
Yes.
About the Zaret case. She's
Yes.
up here, and she's
I'm about to spill too.
We'll hang out on this log for a minute.
Yeah. So she's having a. All right. Let's get to a little quieter spot.
Yeah.
We can take a break right here if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about that. So she has this dream.
Yeah.
And she's a chief of what?
Police.
Chief of police?
Yeah, she's one of the chiefs, yeah.
Okay.
She's having this dream, and she wakes up, and she's like, well, maybe this isn't a dream. So she reaches out to her friends in the NYPD to look into this case. Now, eventually, they reach out to a judge by the name of Judge Lasak. Now, Judge Lasak, he remembers the case immediately. Now, he reaches out to a detective, I believe, by the name of Kelly, who at the time is already 80 years old, and he doesn't really remember. He's a little fuzzy. But in time, they are able to reach out to a man by the name of Panzarella. He's the head of the Queens cold case. And they get all these boxes in relation to this case, all this evidence. They don't even think there's going to be that much evidence. Mm-hmm. But what they find is evidence. They even find the hairbrush in these boxes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So while they didn't maybe do a good job of DNA back then, at least they kept all this stuff. Now, the case gets into the hands of a detective by the name of Mark Valencia.
Yep.
Now, he's known for a guy that really digs in. He really gets into his cases, and so Panzarella puts him on the case. And he goes through all these files, and he finds that there was a number of suspects at that time. Obviously, he sees the boyfriend was ruled out, but one of them sparks his interest. 21-year-old male, unidentified in the article.
To this day.
Yeah, we don't know his name.
But we know that he has a family and kids, and he lives on Long
Yeah,
Island.
he lives outside the city. Long Island, I also assumed Long Island.
Probably.
So at 2 weeks, as we were saying before, 2 weeks before the Zaret incident, he meets the girl at the club. He convinces her to come here. He says, oh, let's get some weed or something. We'll hang out.
To
Cunningham, yeah.
Coming to Cunningham Park.
This is the story from before.
Yeah, it was all
Exactly,
ploy
yeah.
just to, to rape her ultimately.
Right.
So he rapes her. He assaults her.
But she gets away.
He gets away. And Valencia looks back in these files and he finds out that when they go to speak to this guy at that time, he's got a ticket to California, his bags are packed, he's ready to leave town.
Ready to go.
And eventually he doesn't leave town. I think he does about 17 months in prison or something. So Valencia, he goes and speaks to that woman that was assaulted by him. Now, at the time of her rape, she left some of the details out.
Yeah, they said she was probably embarrassed by
Embarrassed.
the whole comb thing.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot. Women, they get embarrassed and they don't, nowadays women are, coming forward more, but 70s, it's a lot different. There's not as much awareness, and she tells Valencia that he sodomized her with a comb, one of her combs. Whoa. So this hairbrush goes off in his head, and he's like, "Oh my God, man!" So he finds this guy, right?
Brings him in.
Brings him in
reluctantly. He didn't want to come in.
Yeah, he didn't want to come in, and he starts talking to him. He starts asking him about all this stuff. He has the guy drink a water, a ploy
and
to
they
get
said
some
that
DNA.
he was brandishing his cup. He did not want to let his cup go, even though it was empty.
Yeah.
And I guess
He had watched some true crime.
Oh yeah. And then he eventually just got, I guess, so fed up from being there, he just said, "Let me get the fuck out of here," and he slammed his cup down and stormed out. And Detective Valencia and I guess his counterpart, they watched him leave, and they said, "Oh, if he turns around once, he might not be guilty. If he turns around twice, he's guilty." He turned around 4 times while he was walking down the precinct.
As if
and they
didn't
obviously
pounce him.
they extracted the DNA from his cup, because I guess
Yeah.
he just totally had a brain fart and just wanted to get the hell out of there. And
Now, how did they compare the DNA to anything?
well, this is where it gets tricky, because Valencia contacted Leslie Zaret's mother, who was still alive at the time, and convinced her to exhume her body 32 years later.
Wow.
Which took some aggressive persuasion.
'Cause
Obviously,
they were
Jewish,
Yeah.
and apparently that's taboo in Jewish religion.
right.
Yeah.
So they eventually exhumed the body, and he gave Zaret's mother her word. I'll leave the grave undisturbed. But I just want to just go take stuff from her fingernails, because probably that's the most viable option. And at that point, so he takes a picture of the grave before and after, which is kind of morbid, but she agreed to it. Ultimately, the DNA sample was not strong enough to yield any matches.
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty degraded after 30-something odd years in the ground. And God knows what was there to begin with.
Now.
So they just let this guy go, obviously no proof.
Yep.
And he's living his life free.
Yeah.
And of course, when we talk a little bit about the potential Son of Sam connections, which I kind of want to wait till we're in the... How far are we from the...
We're about 3/4 of the way there. It's kind of like up the hill.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
If we can get there.
I just want to bring one more thing up.
Yeah, of course.
Because Valencia, when he was looking through these files, another thing he came across was this woman that was... This guy who did the assault, the rape, this unnamed fellow, he had a girlfriend at the time. Now, in the court records, in the police files, they interviewed this girlfriend. She said,
That's right.
on the night of that Zaret murder, her boyfriend came to her house and he smelled like feces and he stunk. Ooh. Now, according to forensics or all these police people, so when somebody gets strangled, it's often the case that they defecate, So that was something that also went off in his head, that the girlfriend had said this about him. And then he started researching other women associates, and he saw like a pattern. Not so much rape, but sort of behavior that would lead up to...
Right. Almost as if the thing that happened 2 weeks prior was a build-up to the Zaret
Exactly.
pinnacle.
Exactly.
Finale, in a sense.
And then when Valencia, years later, when Joanne Jaffe investigates and he gets the
Joanne
case,
Jaffe?
she's the police chief that originally had the dream.
Who grew up right around here.
Yeah.
So she was the
So
one that had the dream.
Yep.
Now,
he...
I'm just as an aside, I guess she got off because she's a policeman, but if I had a dream about a hairbrush, I guarantee I'd be pulled into an interrogation room and it'd be the same. What the hell do you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
Yeah.
So it is strange that she had that dream, but maybe she had heard about it.
Yeah.
You
But according to Valencia, when he goes and interviews the girlfriend in the 2000s, she says, "You here because he killed that girl, right?"
Oh.
This is in the Daily Beast article, and I'm sure Manny will link the article to the video.
Yeah, it's a really good article.
It's the first thing, one of the first things that she tells him. So that is is very odd. I don't know if that's something that's been festering in her head for many years, or she had this intuition that he did the crime and she didn't want to get involved. Because this guy seems like a bad dude.
And then they said in the article that, you know, well, Valencia said that had they been aware of the comb,
Yeah.
I mean, back then, when they first had her witness account, you know, her report after she was assaulted at Cunningham Park, that would have been the end of it. Like, he would have been probably apprehended
as soon as they found,
completely.
Because they knew about the comb before the Zaret murder.
Yes. Yes.
No, they did not.
No, hang on.
No, she kept it a secret.
She kept it a secret, but I'm talking about the first case. Had the police known about the comb in the first assault 2 weeks before.
But did they know about that case before the forget about the comb? Did they know that this rape in Club 82 thing had happened before?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that was interrogated.
They totally just dismissed it as, oh, you know, she met this guy at the 82nd Club. They were having fun. They got about to eat. And
so if she had said that night, he did this with the comb, then 2 weeks later, when this thing with the hairbrush came, it would have been
with
a lot
Leslie
more.
Zaret. Yes, there would have been. He would have been a lot.
He would have been grilled a lot more.
Correct.
Interrogation.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because he had many years to prepare, and of course, without DNA, there's really nothing linking to the guy other than this circumstantial evidence, which is pretty good. And then, of course, the question is, did he have any connections to the Son of Sam people? Because him being in Long Island, there are Long Island connections to Son of Sam.
Of course.
So let's head over to the site.
Yeah, let's try to get there. I mean, at least we can get to the back of where the fence is.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. But you know, as we're walking, though, one thing that I'm saying is there's no way in hell that she got here without two people carrying her. I mean, how the hell are you going to get through here with a dead body? I mean, you can barely walk herself.
Yeah.
But unless, of course, you know, that's Springfield Boulevard. There are holes in the fence unless, you know, he just was just that stealthy enough to park the car and just rush her in. But even then, still traversing that side of the hill is steep.
Yeah, because if you remember from the article also, Valencia theorized that she wasn't killed here and she was actually brought here.
Well, I think
that she might have been killed somewhere else and then brought here, placed neatly with the clothes and the shoes.
Right, and say, look, look what I did. Yeah.
Another thing that bothers me about it is, well, I should say another fact of the case is, when they find Zaret's body, she's got all her jewelry on her.
Yes.
So this guy obviously didn't have a motive to take anything. You know, we see like serial killers and killers take mementos and do all this weird shit.
Oops, sorry, man.
But he didn't even bother to do any of that. So, you know, I'm not too well versed on sex crimes and assault crimes. I don't know if that is something that people do. They take mementos, but just a side fact, you know, she was found with all her jewelry. Nothing was taken from her. So we see there was just maybe just a power thing, you know?
Right.
Or it was just spontaneous.
Or spontaneous, or if Maury Terry's surmisation correct, then it was a cult thing.
Yeah, sure, that too.
We'll talk about that when we get to the site.
This is the one edge
there.
of the school, and the yard is right up there.
Yeah, that's the fence up there.
That's the yard right up there.
That's the yard.
I mean, I don't see how they would come back here with the body.
No.
Mainly because just
I'm thinking,
transporting it.
I mean, we don't know what it looked like 47 years ago.
It was August though, so
it would have been a lot more.
So one of my assumptions originally is this street right here.
Yeah, Springfield.
Yeah, Springfield.
There are holes in the fence there,
you know,
too.
right up on the ground level. You can get in from a hole there and then lead to the...
It goes right back there. Yeah, that's where we're going to wind up.
Kind of something I thought might have been the case.
That seems more realistic, just from having traversed this back area here and just walking through it and falling on our asses. It doesn't seem likely.
But it's also, you know, he might have actually entered through there and the assault might have happened back up there and then just went right back in. I mean, that's ultimately, I think that's the most conceivable.
So let's head up there. Let's see what's up.
Yeah. What we can do is...
I've never been this far back. What the hell is this? There's somebody... Oh, that is vintage, man.
Well, I'm not so sure. That might be a Perrier.
You think so?
Yeah. Although I don't see people back here drinking Perrier.
But what is this?
Yeah. That's Arizona iced tea. No, I don't know.
Let's see. How are we going to get up there?
Do we have to... Here, let's just push.
I think if we push through and go up that hill, we'll be good.
Yeah. Ooh, thorn in my stomach.
I'm getting thorned the fuck up.
Yeah. It's like one's under my shirt. Holy shit. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I'll let you go so I don't get whacked.
Yeah. Oh. It's sticking to my coat. All this is going to be on camera. So funny. Yeah, seriously. We're definitely terrified. Oh, I'm getting cut up. Oh my God. It's my coat. It's getting caught. Oh. Oh. Ow. Oh man, I'm really bad. Oh shit. Ooh. Oh yeah. Cult classic.
Portland Rangers.
Yeah. Baseball Furies. Yeah, now see here's
Here's what looks like a trail you can drive on.
huh.
Yeah.
Wow. It's really
Shoe
cool up
tie.
there.
All right, so where are we going, up there?
Yeah, that's the school right there. You can see it.
Okay, so let's go to where she was found. And let's try to figure out.
But look at this. Looks like it's been definitely walked upon.
Yeah, it's a driveway.
Yeah, it's yeah. Wow.
And theoretically, if you could drive here in 1974, well, then it's an easy hop, skip, and
Yeah.
jump right up the hill.
I don't know how that'd be possible though. Where would they enter?
I don't know.
Their car.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know this area.
Yeah.
I'm
Nah.
just saying, it looks like.
Well, right over there is my assumption. Because if they entered right up there into the street, from the street, and just walked over to that schoolyard fence there.
Right. Let's check it out. Could we just bushwhack right up to the top, or is there a better way?
This looks like it might lead right to the. Yeah, that's the fence. Whoa.
Want to go right up through here?
Yeah, it looks like a straight shot.
Yeah, see that.
Wow, it's so fucking cool back there.
We got a lot of these prickles,
Uh-oh.
but I'm trying to like knock them down for you as best I can.
It's for the love of true crime.
Yeah.
Manny, you didn't bring your gardening shears?
No, I haven't. But I didn't think I'd need them.
I should have told you.
That's the worst of it right there.
Yeah, I keep getting hung up.
Chris, why'd you get involved with us, huh?
Here's some clothes.
Oh, shit.
This looks like some pair of pants that
Yeah?
looks like they were,
Oh, shit. It's a little weird.
I mean, definitely not from 1974.
Nah.
But clearly people are getting their pants torn off over here. All right. Right here.
Yep. Here we are.
Yeah. So this is PS 203.
Yes, sir.
So now, this is making more sense to me.
Right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the street.
Right next to the street.
Yep.
just wait till Chris comes up. So Chris,
Oh, take your time. Whew.
so talk to us.
Here we are.
So what are we seeing?
So out of shape. We're seeing the schoolyard of PS203, where Leslie Zaret was found morning of August 17th, 1974, by custodian Saul Kempf. And the hole in the fence is about 50 feet that way.
50 feet this way. Well, that we're gonna have to do it. I have the feeling 50 feet that way, then the street plays a role and not these backwoods.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I don't mind. I'm gonna try to blaze it for you.
Wow. Fucking tangled again. Ow, shit. Motherfucker. Rookies. It's a thorn belt.
Do we know where she was found in this place?
We don't. We don't know the exact spot. Bad ones. Oh, fuck. Sorry, man.
It's all right.
So now we can assume most likely in 74. Probably not being picked up by the mic. So in 74, make sure your mic is pushed on good. Is it loosened? No, it seems okay. I mean, in 74 it was probably very similar to now,
Yeah.
with all these weeds here. But this is nothing impenetrable. And whereabouts is that hole that you were talking about?
Oh, right over here.
Lead up to it.
How am I going to power through this?
I'm just so used to this kind of shit.
Oh.
You gotta go under. There you go.
We're coming. Wow. I don't know how you do this, Manny.
Yeah, just keep going.
And here we are. The hole is right here. And you can see where it's patched up. Yep.
So now,
You could tell all the other linkage on the fence is untouched except for this spot on this end.
right. And if you look, and we're gonna walk right there. There's Springfield right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me. Maybe I'm just out there,
I think you're right.
but to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
that's would seem like the easiest way. And if you look at it, it's so easy to get in from this point on. They wouldn't have had to go through any of this with a dead body, or with. She would have had to have been under her own power to come up through this, in my opinion.
For sure.
What we just came through,
Yep.
she would have had to come in on her own.
But we dispelled that. I suppose it's good,
I
right?
think we've dispelled that. What do you think,
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really the only other option is her being either coming in on her own power through this way, through the Springfield Boulevard way, or being brought in dead. Still, I think you would need
People.
Yeah.
rather than one person, but you know.
Or
it's-
she was.
And, you know, let's say that suspect, well, not the suspect, let's say that the guy that committed that other crime that went to jail for 17 months, that was a suspect to Valencia, you know, he could have used the same thing. You know, hey, let's go smoke some weed. We'll go to the park.
Right.
You know, I got a cool spot. You pull up right there. You just walk in. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's right here.
Because the article did say that it wouldn't have been out of character for Zaret to go in here with it, not with a guy, but with like they said it was the '70s. She partied.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what people did back then.
Yeah.
So I could easily see someone being like, "Yo, let's stop here. Let's go into the park here and smoke some weed."
Yeah.
And then right here could have been.
Could
Yeah.
have been here.
How nice and flat it is.
Yep.
Relatively. I mean, we're talking 46 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was probably that much different. It was probably just as flat. This would be a good place to do something if you wanted to, and then. But why would you bring her into here?
Right. And put her on display. Say, look
And
what
put her on
look what
display.
I did. Yeah.
Right.
That's the weird thing.
brings it to a new level of like, you know, who knows? Maybe a cult because they had her all, you know, kind of splayed out and
Yeah.
clothes neatly laid next to her, shades of Arliss Perry again.
Oh yeah.
Now, so this definitely is interesting. This hole in the fence, and we're gonna walk over there to Springfield. Is how we're gonna get out
And you
of here.
could see.
We can follow the fence line to the stairs.
Yeah, in fact, let's do that.
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Chris?
You could see over here the chain link fence. What the fence was replaced over here. But I think if something actually did go down, or when it went down, it had to have happened back here.
To me, I'm getting vibes that it happened here.
Yeah. Power through, he
There
says.
wouldn't have been all these leaves on the ground in August,
No,
Nope.
definitely not.
so it wouldn't have been as noisy, right? Like,
Yeah.
You try to do this in the fall. People across the street, they can see that they hear you.
Yes. So,
Yeah, so this is kind of my original assumption.
this is the fence
Was this
line.
right here?
Hold on, guys, come closer so we can all see each other. The crime spot was just saying that this was his original assumption.
They enter through here,
Yeah,
do what they have to do
because
in
this
these woods,
is
and get a shot
this
of
is
that.
right here.
I mean, this would be a great spot to do whatever you need to do. And if he was going to strangle her, which the guy said that, you know, then no noise is made.
Exactly.
Right, it's not like you're stabbing someone and they're screaming.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're strangling
Yep.
someone here in the woods, they're not going to make a sound. The question is, of course, why the hell not leave her here if the crime was done here? Why bring her out into that other spot? I mean, that's not something that I expect any answers to, of course. But so, of course, then the question is, why was Maury Terry talking about this?
Yeah.
So, from what I remember, it was Lucan who brought it to his memory. This Veronica Lucan
Who's from
character.
Bayside?
Who's from Bayside, right? Right from here?
Oh,
Yes.
whoa, yeah. I heard. That was the woman seeing visions or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and of course she was very, very close with Detective Henry Chinati,
Oh, wow.
and she was the one who tipped off Detective Chinati about there being a cult behind these ongoing murders going on, because he had heard. Reading The Ultimate Evil, I had always thought that it was Maury Terry who tipped off Detective Chinati about all this, but he told me when I met him that he heard all of this before he even heard Maury Terry's name. That he heard from Veronica Lucan that Wheat Carr and her brothers were involved in Son of Sam, and he was hearing that in the beginning of 1977. So
That's amazing.
I wish he was a little bit more, there mentally, and we could
Yeah.
get all these, but he just can't. He's just not there mentally.
Yeah.
But Veronica Lucan talked to about a ritual murder that, and I'm just going to read it right from The Ultimate Evil. Let me get close to a mic here.
Sure.
So the information, let me turn this around. The information was so, and this is on page 233 on the chapter Into the Maze. The information was so detailed and specific that Dunleavy rightly was intrigued by it. With a copy of the woman's latest letter in hand, and that's Veronica Loiken's letter, I met George Austin after work at Gambelli's restaurant in White Plains on January 25th. Now, the question is, when is Maury Terry here? So that we'll answer that in a second. Like what year of January 25th was this? So it was a Wednesday night. After reading the note, he asked, this is George Austin asking Maury Terry, what are you going to do about all this? She talks about a mutilation murder 3 years ago and says that they used a hairbrush on the girl, and Berkowitz witnessed it. Saying, and Maury Terry answers, that's just the thing, George. That crime did happen. We checked it out today, and the hairbrush part was never made public. So now, a few things from this that we can glean. One, he talks about it being 3 years prior. If you read this, guys, this is taking place before the death of John Wheaty's car. He died in February of 1978. This is January of 1978. 3 years prior would bring it to the end of 74, the beginning of 75, which is in the general time period which this Zaret case happened. Now, the hairbrush was not made public, right?
Yep, wasn't in any article.
It wasn't in any article. But what's intriguing about this to me, as a Son of Sam researcher, is on many levels, and Berkowitz witnessed it. Okay, now, 1974. What's the official story? That Berkowitz didn't meet these people until 75. 75, right, at a party on Barnes Avenue. Speaking of which, just as an aside, yesterday I spoke to a former YPD, Yonkers Police Department, who, and he may go on record, but he actually chased Berkowitz because he knew Berkowitz. They knew him from Co-op City. They were all friends. Mm-hmm. He chased Berkowitz in 1974, 1975, witnessed him lighting those arson fires that he famously is supposed to
which happened in this neighborhood as well.
In this neighborhood as well?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. So this is the first witness to ever come forward to actually see Berkowitz physically do that. Up until now, we've just had reports on it, that he had this log arson book with 1,500 fires. So Berkowitz in 70...
actually pictures of the book too. They took stills of it.
Right, exactly, in the documentary, I believe. So 1974, we have him lighting fires in the Bronx, which means that he's probably involved in some with these people already. I mean, it would stand to reason that he's lighting these arson fires. Maybe it's like a ritual that they're doing. Who knows? Again, just spitballing. But the official story doesn't have him meeting these people until 75. But we have him in 74 witnessing this murder. What's the deal? The only logical assumption, if it's true, is that he was involved with these people way before the Son of Sam crimes, way before he even admits it. In 75, he met them. He's hanging out here witnessing murders in 74. So do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we have to assume that Lucan, this was a woman from Bayside who was apparently seeing all these visions. He was in contact with God.
Yeah.
So that's a little
psychotic.
That's a little dicey. Now, you said Chinati knew her?
He was best friends with her.
Wow.
And she was the one giving him all his information and mentioning Wheat Car, and she got information about Wheat Car. Because that's where he got it from.
That is very interesting. And we know that the hairbrush didn't come out because I was looking at the New York Times articles about it.
Yeah, it doesn't mention it.
Doesn't say anything about it.
I mean, we have to assume that we're just making the assumption that Maury Terry's information in this is correct.
Correct.
That Berkowitz did witness it. It could all be bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in which case, this case has no connection to Son of Sam. But assuming that this is true and Berkowitz witnessed it, it raises a million interesting other questions. Like, what was his involvement with the arsons? What was his involvement with the cult as early as 1974? When did he actually meet these people?
Right, because he was discharged from the military, in June of 74.
74, right.
So this would be 2 months later.
Right.
If he was here. But like I said, he does have strong connections to this part of Queens because his sister lived in Glen Oaks.
Oh, wow.
He's setting fires on Marathon Parkway and Thieves Avenue, which is
which is
a half a
just-
mile right by my house.
Right.
And also it says right beneath that it's 260 First Street and Little Neck Parkway, which is right down the road, which is another 3 minutes from here.
Yeah, it is.
So
And like I said, the dude was a glutton for White Castle. I mean, it's known apparently right after the murders that he was seen multiple times in this White Castle.
Oh, really?
Right on
That
Bell
one?
Boulevard.
Yeah, that one's been there forever.
That, well, it was rebuilt. They knocked down the old one, and that's one of the first ones. It's been there since like the 20s. But they raised that one and built the one right next to it. Remember when I was a kid? I mean, we go there every other
Right.
Sunday, belly bomber. So I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So you have all these connections to this area, and then of course, let's not forget that in 1977 you had the shooting at the Elefas Disco,
Right there.
2 blocks away.
Which means he probably stuffed his face with,
if he
a
was
sack.
there,
If he was there.
if he was there and did the shooting,
Yeah.
all of that we don't know.
Well, he actually said in one interview, I guess it was after the, was it Esau and what's the other? The one in the Bronx.
Loria.
He said that, on a power trip, the first thing he did was he'd go right to White Castle and just
Castle.
pound burgers and drink milkshakes.
Oh my
Like he almost boasted about it in the interview.
Right.
And this was known, by my mother and my aunt that, he was seen, like, the shooting happened in Bayside. His sister lives in Glen Oaks. Everyone said, he would always go to that White Castle on Bell Boulevard. That was
Right.
one of his favorite places to go, and he would be in this part of Queens. Like, he was seen by multiple people there.
Right. So
allegedly.
he's lighting fires in this area.
He's lighting fires, witnessing murders, eating White Castle.
Potentially witnessing murders, eating White Castle, shooting at, being a part of the operation at the Elefas Disco. And of course, this whole area is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the highway, and then you're back in the Bronx in 5 minutes. So, I mean, I don't
And you're
know.
10 minutes away from Lamino and DeMacy.
Right, and just a 10-minute drive from where Carl got shot as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, we're right in the middle of it.
We're kind of right in the middle of all the activity.
And the
in
Cross Island
Queens.
Parkway is readily
just-
accessible,
Just right down the block.
even in Floral Park.
So I think that this was actually a really good walk and talk to see this area, because I personally think we dispelled the myth of her ever being brought on her own power.
Yeah, they
not
probably
under her-
they
yeah.
probably entered through here and did what they had to do over here, and then just staged her over there.
Staged over there.
Why her clothes were folded and her shoes were neatly placed is
Right. I mean,
why she was staged. Is
But if
unknown.
it was a cultic murder, and we do have Tiny Lentini telling Mike Codella about a cultic murder in some other Queens Park where they killed a woman by compressing her chest with some sword or something. And
What park is that?
I don't remember. It's in Codella just recently talked about it, and he talked about it on my walk and talk as well. So we'd have to refer back to it.
Okay.
But
Yeah, probably Forest Park, if I had to
Maybe-
guess.
maybe
in
that
Woodhaven.
one.
That was a freaky place.
Oh,
yeah,
still
and
is.
Yeah.
he looked it up, and that case did happen. So there were occultic murders taking place in parks
Yeah.
in Queens. It would seem like rather suspicious to be so close to houses and to do anything right in here with
Yeah,
like large
so maybe they
groups of
just
people.
went down a little bit, where it actually recesses.
Right, and in that case, then they would have to have more than one person to carry the body back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of million
And through that hole.
and through the hole, right. So a lot of questions which were not going to get answered. I'm glad we came out, of course, to see this, and of course, this is a cold case, which is hopefully going to get more attention now that we brought it out.
Now, Manny, can you speak about that letter
Which letter?
about the women of Queens?
Yeah, Z, woman are the finest.
Let's not forget that.
Oh my God! How could I forget that? So the whole thing with Berkowitz witnessing this is, of course, then sort of bolstered by the fact that in the Borelli letter, which was the letter,
Borelli letter, yes.
which was the first letter placed in Son of Sam, and the letter and immediately preceding the Elefas Disco shooting, right? It was the murder before the Elefas Disco.
4 blocks from here.
Right. In that letter, it said, "The women of Queens are the prettiest of all."
Yeah.
Right? And it said a big Z. Now, and then it also said it must be the water they drink. Now, I was in the car and I was thinking about this along the way. And if you know how Satanists, they say, like to reverse words and everything. If you take water and Zaret, you replace the W with a Z. Zaret would be an anagram of water, because it's
Right.
the same letters in there. So it's just a thought that I had. I don't know whether it makes any sense to you guys. But this whole thing with the letter saying Z women of Queens, that could have very well been a little,
Yep.
little tip of the hat to what they had done. And of course, then, thank you for reminding me, a cold case crime spot. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we have the letter that they found in Berkowitz's apartment, where it said, that he was part of a cult that, as part of their mission, was going to kill at least 100 women of pure blood, right? And so that would, but a Son of Sam only was like what, 7, 8 incidents, 7, 8 people killed.
Yeah, it was like 13 shootings, but how many people were
right?
were
7,
killed?
8,
Yeah,
or
7
7, 8,
Yeah.
7 or 8 of them. So where are the other 93, right? Was Leslie Zaret one of those? So going back to 74. So a lot of interesting questions in this case. I would really love for the, what's the name of the woman who had the dream?
Joanne Jaffe.
Joanne Jaffe.
Jaffe.
If you are out there and you're watching this, and I would assume that you will, because you're going to eventually look up Leslie Zaret, and this video is going to come up, reach out to us, because we want your insights on this case, especially in light of the Maury Terry. Commander Jaffe, we're not sure that you knew about that Maury Terry connection. So in either case, guys, I want to say thank you to my man NYC Crime Spot. And
Thank you, Manny.
Check out his great channel where he talks about cold cases, mafia. Now I see you're getting into graffiti. Man.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's a little, my past a little bit.
What's your tag?
No, we can't.
Confidential.
We can't talk about that. And Chris, I want to thank you so much for being the color commentary and the tour guide for us today.
And a hiker, yeah.
And a hiker. Anything you guys want to say before we end this?
Just it's a long shot, but just how Maury sort of surmised that, speaking of the Arliss case, how that potentially was cult related, and the way the bodies were found, how Arliss Perry was found with a candle in her vagina, and how her clothes were also kind of displayed neatly at her feet, and just the fact that it was a custodian, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, custodian, yeah.
And the fact that, they collected DNA in California, and they actually were able to put it to use and convict, what's his name? Stephen.
I don't know if they convicted him because he killed himself.
Well, clearly he was guilty.
Yeah.
And they found a cover of the Ultimate Evil in his apartment, or in his house, which is kind of weird. Also took place in '74. The initial suspect from the Zaret case was going to go to California. Was there safe harboring involved? Did Crawford have connections to this area? I mean, it's a long shot. But how did Maury Terry know that was cult related, or how did he postulate that was cult related?
Right, exactly. So a lot of questions, and of course, these cold cases haunt us all, and we're all trying to find answers.
Yeah.
Crime Spot, any last things to say?
Well, I know they interviewed the boyfriend at the time. I want to know if the suspect that Valencia had, which committed the rape 2 weeks prior, I want to know if the boyfriend knew that guy. Now, the reason why I know that, because in my mind, she goes to the bar to find the boyfriend. She can't find him. And in my mind, it's a potential that she meets this guy at that bar. Or outside that bar, or somewhere around there. And, they get in the car. I'm guessing they get on the LIE, they get off here, and they come here. So I want to know if that boyfriend was ever asked if he knew that guy.
Right.
Well, they said she had to cross the LIE to get to Kew Gardens Hills.
So,
And,
that's...
you're saying, like, kind of went down like how the 82 Club situation went down.
Right.
Exactly.
Very
I think that she
Sort of
could
like,
have met him at that bar.
Let's go smoke some weed in the park. Maybe there's people here waiting.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows people here.
Her boyfriend's not there. She's leaving. Hey, what's going on? What's your name?
And
Hello,
like
let's
Manny
hang
said,
out.
she's a free spirit.
And to complete the circle, I would like to know also if this suspect has any connections to Yonkers, any of these cult people that we know about. We know that Long Island, it's going to come out in the next few weeks. There's more of a Long Island connection to this whole thing that we may think about with this new guy, Ron Spahowa. So I would like to know, this guy, if he's still alive, they should throw him into an interrogation room, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be looking for us now. So.
Well,
I'm game. I'm game.
That's it.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
yeah.
So listen, once again, thanks for an awesome time.
Awesome.
Guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Can't
Manny.
wait for the
Thanks,
next-
Chris.
Can't wait for the
Thank
next
you guys.
cold
Thanks for
case.
having me.
You're very welcome, Chris. Can't wait for the next time we all meet. And until then, we will see
See you next time.
at the next video. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.